Well, good morning. It is 9 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. The Redevelopment Authority of the City of North Platte. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Let's take roll call.
Wilkie?
Yes?
Devco?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Patterson? Burley.
Okay. Quorum is present. This first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of June 1st, 2022.
I so move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Let's vote. Roll call.
Wilkie?
Yes?
Devco?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda this morning is review proposed redevelopment contract for the Devco Housing Redevelopment Project. Mr. Bacon.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the authority. Before you have a proposed redevelopment contract. It provides for the subdivision of a 51-lot subdivision and that it be a phased development, approximately $1.8, $1.9 million worth of infrastructure and other eligible costs would be captured over time. The process is, in this case, very much like the Dancer Properties redevelopment project. It allows for a number of houses to be put in each year. It's subject to the number that go in constitute a phase. The taxes are pledged on that phase, and they have until 2029 to complete the project to capture all of the TIF taxes. It's obviously subject to the redeveloper obtaining title to the property from the city of North Platte. So pretty standard terms. Be glad to answer any questions. It's the Dancer Properties project redo. So the redeveloper is responsible for putting in all of the infrastructure, and they're going to try and recoup all of their costs, including the purchase of the property and all of the infrastructure from TIF. They're responsible for borrowing money, putting in the infrastructure, and hopefully the TIF bond proceeds will amortize the debt.
Is there ever any mandated start to the increment in these contracts? I see there's a completion.
We don't have a mandated start date on the increment. We have a mandated start date on the infrastructure, which is May 1. Gary tells me they're going to start this fall, so they'll meet that. The reason that there's not a mandated start date is sometimes you miss by 1 year. If you get close to the end of the year, you want to roll it over into the next year. So there's not a mandated start date. There's just a mandated end date. So they could get nothing done until 2029 and then fill the whole place up, or they could get it half full and then go ahead and pledge the remaining taxes and hopefully get some buildings on there in time. So, yeah.
Mr. Bacon, have you seen that interest rate seems to be changing as we proceed through these 2-3 points higher than it used to be?
Yeah, there's a reason for that, because their borrowing rates gone through the roof. So
My question then follows with that. If it's tiered, how's the bond interest possibly change? Or is it, can't fix that?
it's currently set as a flat rate rather than a tiered rate in the bond. So trying to get 15-year, well, it'd be actually longer than that. Theoretically, you could go out till 2044, so trying to get a fixed rate for that long on a project that is dependent on getting those projects or the houses up is really fairly modest because someone's locking that in for an extended period of time. So that's a pretty modest rate for this type of project. All the other projects I'm working on, the rates have gone up significantly. Matter of fact, we just had one that they wanted to amend because 75 basis points going up probably again this month is really cranking their cost of funds up to do it, so.
So the funding of the bond is increments also.
I'm sorry, I
Is
can,
the funding of the bond increment also incrementally, or is it at the same time? For the borrower?
it is funded incrementally as they get their costs deployed, so they would have to show that they have paid for the property, that they put in sewer and water extensions, that they put in paving, curb and gutter, and electricity and so forth. So they'll absorb that over time, but probably by midsummer or spring, gonna be,
We could get the first phase of it, 8 lots near Adams Street, done. We're hoping this fall if we only kick the water line there. And that will be the first phase. And then that'll give us time to figure out all the other stuff then by spring get that addressed. The interest rate was something that, the financial group we're working with to finance it, that's the rate they suggest.
good questions. Any other questions?
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we accept redevelopment plan 2022-4. Am I correct?
Yes.
Excuse me.
okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Any additional discussion from the members? Okay, let's vote.
Wilkie?
Yes?
Stepka?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Okay. The next item is a review proposed redevelopment contract for the amended redevelopment plan for a portion of the Twin Rivers Industrial Park.
This is a different process than you've had in the past. This is basically what's a phased bucket TIF project in order to put in the infrastructure so you can get a traffic loop, open up more lots for development. The plan in this case and this redevelopment contract proposes that again, Devco borrow funds to start putting in infrastructure and go along and capture the tax increment from each eligible project that goes within that area to use those TIF dollars to put in the infrastructure so it opens up more area. And right now they have to have people drive in and drive out on the same roadway, and this would provide for a circle to, or a loop to go through, so again, what they would do is each eligible project goes in place or is there, they would file a contract amendment to capture the TIF on that one, and so that would go for 15 years. Because that is all speculative and not as specifically driven as the housing project. We put in a few extra years for them to hopefully get that chunk of the industrial park filled up. So it's sort of like the Dancer properties, but it does not have one developer for all of the lots. It's going to be how many projects can they load into that area. The other thing that is a variable is with the housing projects, you have a fairly compact and known value on each increment. In this case, you don't have final subdivided lots or the size of the building or the value of the building that goes in, so. The risk, again, is all on the developer, for them to put the infrastructure in and hopefully get repaid from the development. It is structured so that they can put it in phases, so they can put in what they can handle for their risk appetite based on the recruitment projects that Devco has at the time, so.
I might point out to the CRA, the road, the one road that comes in there is called Twin Rivers Road. So the parallel road that will also go south to north, everything on the west side of that is not eligible to be recaptured for TIF. There's roughly 50 acres there, so those projects that will benefit from the infrastructure going in will go immediately on to all the tax roads. So.
Any questions?
Questions?
Make a motion that we accept redevelopment contract 2022-5.
Second motion.
Any discussion? Let's vote.
Looking,
Yes.
Stefan,
Yes.
Lucas.
Yes.
Okay. Any other business this morning?
You have to pass the resolutions. You need formal action on adopting the resolutions that were presented. So
Okay.
we'll need
Another-
motions on each of those resolutions.
Okay, so let's go back to then the first item there. So we approved the contract, now we're approving the resolution.
What passage of the resolution approves the contract and provides for the issuance of the TIF bond?
That's what we just did.
That was the motion? Okay, that, you're done.
Those are both motions, correct? Okay,
All right.
okay. All right, any other business this morning?
I'd like to discuss to make clear what we're doing. We had tasked Mr. Brulea, who is an attorney and has also been a member of the board for quite some time, the CRA, to maybe make some suggestions to streamline our process going forward, and that everyone could understand and clear how we would do that. And that basically was in the area of qualifying or pre-qualifying or discussing possible projects that could be brought forward to the CRA. He sent a copy of suggestions to all of the members, and I would like to submit that as discussion items for future business at the next meeting of the Community Redevelopment Authority. That way the media, bless their heart, thank you, and the public would have those discussion points available so that as we discuss it, they're informed on how those procedures and then their input would be welcomed on suggestions as well as the CRA. So it's a discussion point, not necessarily for action unless it's desired.
Good idea.
And I don't know that we need to make motions on that, but I would like to submit those, and there's some interesting approaches to that, and I'm sure that it's not the end-all of-all, but it's a great start, and we needed, as prior discussions, on some way to expedite this or make it easier for the developers and maybe the CRA, but at the same time be cognizant that the public and media is informed.
Okay. Anything else this morning?
So how will the public be able to get this, so they can look at it.
It'll be on the next agenda?
Yes.
Agenda item for the next meeting?
It'd be attached as an agenda item. Is that the understanding?
Yeah. Okay.
Since we've got three councils sitting in it, and Mr. Bacon, is that acceptable?
Take a look at it and make some recommendations.
Be great.
You also are representing, continue to represent the authority with that capacity.
Okay. Anything else this morning?
Motion to adjourn and thank the three that showed up and the other two that they have to read all the minutes.
Right. All right, meeting's adjourned.
Second.
Meeting's adjourned. 9:15.